Hello, everyone. My name is Nourel Bastaki, and I'll be your moderator today. I'm really excited to welcome you to Etisalat Digital's first webinar series. Let me start by introducing Etisalat Digital, our business unit within Etisalat that is driving digital transformation by enabling enterprises and governments to become smarter through the use of latest technologies. From its offices in the UAE and KSA, Etisalat Digital provides end-to-end digital vertical propositions to enable smarter developments for education, healthcare, transportation, retail, and among others. Today's webinar topic is Reimagine a Beyond New Normal Customer Retail Experience. Indeed, the rapid spread of COVID-19 has sparked massive disruption across sectors. But one of the most visible effects of this crisis for individuals around the globe is its impact on physical retail space. Coupled with social distancing, temporary mall closures, restrictions on movement, the pandemic is definitely accelerating e-commerce, among other trends in the retail ecosystem. Now, to begin with, and because I really want this webinar to be interactive, let me ask you, what is that one word that best describes your last 90 days of business or private life? Please let me know in the chat box. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. I'm sure all of us here are on the same boat, thinking the same thing, like lockdown, COVID-19, family, health, and I'm reading some right here, transformation, digitization, adaptability. But these are exactly the key words that are describing how our customers are having to transform their business models and customer experience. We've observed a lot of them, disrupting their behaviors and new shopping habits and expectations. So before we start, I would like to share with you some of the trends and consumer insights of the retail industry, just to get you some light and shed on really what's happening today. It is no brainer that the consumer behavior has shifted and they're more focused on online and omnichannels, with that increasing 10 to 13% in online store penetration after COVID-19. Researchers have also shown that buying online and picking up in store also grew by 28% year on year. There is a high intention for customers to continue using the model like BOPIS, and among them is grocery shopping. Grocery delivery increased 45% after the pandemic. I, for one, was really shocked when I saw my grandmother order her groceries online. And this is just an example how, this model is disrupted and disrupted all ages regardless. We've also noticed that app downloads increased by 11% from January to April against last year. So really, beyond the new normal, what's next? Definitely, this pandemic has introduced major challenges for retailers today, and a lot of pressures for them in terms of compliance with local authority measures for safety and sanitation. Another thing is that very, very difficult for and challenging for retailers to continue to rebuild that confidence in their staff to continue back on physical network and back to the office. Also, the same with their customers. At the same time, what is the best way to develop an agile and an efficient operating model moving forward? Another thing is accelerating omnichannel and digital transformation. What is the best way to do it? What are the effects? And also, what is the best way that we could measure all of this in real time? Now, to address all these challenges, we have two of our Etisalat Digital experts with us here today from the retail industry. Let me introduce our first speaker, Julian Muniz, Director of Digital Channels and Retail IoT. He has over 20 years of marketing and sales experience and has experience in many leadership roles with various global brands, including Disney. Our second speaker today is Mohannet Samara. He's a Director of Digital Industries with more than 23 years of experience in strategy, experience design, complex digital solutions and technology architecture and delivery within the telco industry. Now, before we start, just to keep this webinar light and interactive, I would like to point out that if you're watching us from LinkedIn, you can always ask us questions since we'll be having a separate Q&A session right at the end. Julian and Mohannet, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Noura. Thank you for the introduction, insightful introduction, in fact. Good afternoon, Mohanad.
Good afternoon, Julian, and welcome for our guest. And we're tuning here from our one of many design studios in Etisalat.
Yes, correct. Good morning, good afternoon to the audience, and welcome to Etisalat webinar series. Thank you for taking the time on your busy schedule. We hope to be with you for the next 30, 40 minutes. Mohanad, we have a lot to share today. Is that correct?
Absolutely. We've been busy meeting many of our retail business partners and also the shoppers. So we have a wealth of insights we'd like to share with you all today.
Correct. So today's session aims to be pragmatic and very concrete, right? We want to leverage all those learnings that we understood from the diversity of interviews we've had conducted over the last few months. And so without further ado, let's deep dive into what your digital retail partner of choice has to share with you. So Noura was very clear on the impact of the recent situation we all went through, and we all experienced situations and challenges that we've never seen before in our life, right? Over the past few months, we all had to adapt in many aspects of our business, from our way of working, the way we develop and deliver services, and the way we interact with our customer base. In fact, for us today, this webinar is another way to adapt to the socially distant customer interactions. But after this, one thing remains for us and change. It's our will to support, and even more during this challenging time. So whether it's to help comply with guidelines, offer a safe work and a safe business space, fast track your recovery, or co-innovate on some tailor-built solutions, we want to be pragmatic, concrete, and realistic with our solutions and financials. So today we will be exchanging over two very distinct sets of concern, expressed again during those interviews, and we aim to provide relevant solutions for those. The first one concerns is related to how to best operate a safe and secure retail space. The second one is probably more of a consequence of the crisis we just experienced, and it's about how to best transform our retail operations to be future-proof and adapt to what we believe will be long-lasting behavior change. So let's start with how we suggest to reinforce trust and help your customer feel safer. So we saw that by informing, engaging, and reassuring the population's customers, visitors, making them feel that you are in control of the situation and invite them to take ownership is probably one of the best way forward. So Mohanad, can you share with us what is the best way to achieve this objective in retail?
Excellent question, Julian. We've been looking at the digital signage everywhere, I think for the purpose of making people aware of the information of the retail store or malls. We repurposed that during COVID-19 because of lots of source of information coming about the guidelines of COVID-19 and to keep up with the hygiene and safety measures within the mall and stores. So with the help of digital signage, we were able to not only to disseminate that safety information, but also to embody the wayfinding solution and the advertisement and promotion. So it's a multi-purpose device. Not only that, but also it is a very much of the theme of reusability and future-proofing your investment.
And I believe, obviously, all those different measures are changing fast sometimes, right? I believe you can update every one of those signage over the click of a button, correct?
Yeah, with the help of the content management system, which is centralized on our Etisalat cloud, you're able to disseminate in any given signage or screen the information, whether it is be tailored to a certain location or broadcasted across your stores or malls. So it is very economic because it scales very quickly.
Thank you, Mohanad. Significant efforts, and we've seen it, and I think observing it every day, significant effort have been deployed to remind the population on the need to social distance and wearing the mask. And even here at Etisalat, we have reminders and the speakers on a daily basis, right? And we know this is the way forward to fight against the COVID-19. But how do you suggest retail operators to control and avoid crowds to accumulate in their own environment?
So this is a great example of how we reinforce the safety measures across visitors and employees. To give you an example, we've been building command control centers, employing and deploying lots of CCTV cameras. But now with the help of AI, which is on our platforms, we're able to count people to measure the capacities of the stores. We are able to see the concentration, where are people crowding. We're looking at for instance, their compliance to put their mask on or not. And also from employees, they don't need to go with the manual process of checking in or the finger biometric. So facial recognition becomes handy here to do a time and attendance for employees and connected to the internal access control system. So this is a very timely solution. Were combined for operation purposes and marketing purposes.
Yeah, and a great example of how to reuse existing hardware, right, for different purposes, thanks to some powerful platform at the back end. So very, very interesting. So let's talk for a second about robotics. Robotics, have been obviously, in the air for quite some time before COVID. But of course, COVID-19 has further reinforced the need to robotize some operations when possible. We even saw that some big vendors in the world have been able to sustain their activity thanks to robotic application in their warehouse. But how do you suggest robotic to support a retail operation post-pandemic?
So for repeated tasks like sanitization, it's very effective to deploy these different robots. One of them is based on ultraviolet technology. The other one is based on a dry fog and a hydrogen peroxide. The good thing about it is when your customer and employees all go home, those small gadgets, they go around effectively and they disinfect and sterilize the common areas, your stores, the meeting rooms, every place in a safe way. And just to point out, the dry fog that comes out of it is a human grade and plant grade. So it's very safe for environment as well.
I believe you can customize those as well, right? You can give them a bit of more of a life, isn't it?
Yeah. They look actually like a small mini-me. So they go around, you can brand them, you can color them. So absolutely, you can do that.
Do you reckon that this could help as well somehow be more effective and avoid having too much staff cleaning after opening hours?
For sure. So this robot, it would study the environment automatically and go around and sterilize places in a very effective way, in a very economical way as well. So you can run it and continuously, and this is just another way to assess your operational process.
Gotcha. So we have another type of robotics, I believe, solution here. Which is dedicated to the handrail. I think we all as parents, at least for those of us that are parents, this is probably an area where we are, probably freaking out when we go to shopping, especially in time of COVID-19. So do you have something very interesting to share with us here?
Yeah, well, it actually struck me when I saw that the handrail of escalator would be collecting 17 times more germs than toilet handles and seats. So you can imagine how unsafe that is for children and families all together. So we put together this robotic system that disinfect in 3 ways: the ultraviolet, the fog, dry fog system, but also clean up the metal pedals. So it makes it 100% virus free. And those on both sides, you will see the digital signages to transmit safety instructions like distancing, but also you can run promotion on that. For those who would use the elevators, for instance, they don't have to run at the risk of pushing those buttons. So we created this small innovative solution that you can touch holographically the button and you go from A to B. And this can be installed, by the way, Julian, believe it or not, in less than 30 minutes in any of the
Wow.
elevator system. Yeah.
Well, trust me, I think those are amazing solutions. I'm personally freaking out about touching anything those days, so probably make my day here. So we know that work from home has been for pretty much all of us the way for a couple months, right? And work from home obviously is probably easy to apply it in backstage functions, but we believe that there is also a way to apply it on stage. And while stores are still experiencing some capacity constraints because of social distancing, I believe you're able to suggest a great way to sustain that customer care and interaction without a physical contact.
Actually, you're 100% right. There has been some constraint for lots of stores for capacity reason to accommodate for visitors to come and employees to be there. So there's no better ways than having your colleagues helping out from remotely from home to be standing and helping out the colleagues in physical store, showing people the products and explaining to them in a high definition screen and a microphone in a human way. Because of the social distancing, we've all been striving and missing that human touch. This robot would have a human face that is talking to him from their home about the products and store inventory. So it's amazing thing that you have it running around and showing it as a show and tell, but it's also a great video conferencing solution that you can use it also for your corporate.
So I think it's worth remembering that when we had those many customer interviews, a lot of them were expressing that for many of those solutions they may have been perceived back before as gadgets and options, and how much today they're raising into the way of thinking and the way of operating, right? So it's actually very interesting to see how an event like this can actually turn around your perceptions of some of those technologies. So Mohanad, just to confirm, we went through a set and series of safe solutions, or to make your environment safer. Can you confirm that all of those solutions are available indeed, right?
Yes, absolutely right, Julian. So we've been able to show customers and create small pilots very quickly during the time when they were moving from lockdown to progressively opening the stores. So it was very impactful to show the value to the customer through small pilots that can scale immediately, and that brought a lots of support for the procurement process. So I think that we'll be happy to show any of those solutions we went through and demonstrate the support for the reinforcing the safety and also helping out in the operational activities.
Thank you very much. So there's of course a lot more I know you could share, you wanted to share on how to make a retail space safer. But we picked those on purpose because we believe that they're probably the most relevant and probably the most future-proof as well. But for those of you watching today, if you have any questions or if you want to raise any concern here as what we've been sharing with you at this time, please do remember to share your comments in the Q&A section. I believe we have over 100 plus people watching right now, and please feel free to share your questions, and we'll do our best to respond them either today or later on after this webinar. So let's move on now, if you don't mind, Mohanad, on how to create a beyond new normal shopping experience. So as shared earlier by Noura in a very insightful introduction, you can't escape and avoid e-commerce. And e-commerce has obviously further accelerated its penetration over the course of the crisis and as a consequence of the lockdown. And I think we all experienced a lot more e-commerce during that period of time, and we're very happy to be surrounded by great, e-commerce capable companies around us. But many of them as well reinventing themselves very shortly, and they reached out to us to help them, go and find a retail way, an e-commerce way to get business done. That being said, we still have a lot of our customers still looking for solutions to best develop a sustainable online retail. Can you share with us how you can support this need?
So that's a great question. During the digital transformation of many of the retailers, it took a while to actually study it and plan it and implement it. But then the COVID-19 came and accelerated all of that. We've seen stores that and businesses that were planning for 3 years to implement it and took them 3 weeks to do so. Now, the end-to-end retail platform that we've got was an amazing tool to act as an accelerator. For instance, where businesses were moving, were shutting down, we were able to help some of those stores to go and put their inventory online for the customers to explore it and buy it, and having the delivery mechanism. And now when they came back online physically, that IoT connections that we created for the tracking and in the warehouse and in the delivery, so made it very accurate information arriving to the businesses, operations, and for the customers. So this way, we were able to help out during and post COVID-19. The marketplace is a nice augmentation of how digital can complement the physical and not to replace it. Yeah. Actually, there was sorry to cut you. There was an interesting news I read a few minutes ago about one of the businesses who reached their 2025 target on the e-commerce. Mr. Shahoub explained just on the past month period. So this explains how effective tool is a marketplace when it's complemented with a physical one.
And it's also, I think, a matter of priority, right? Many of those customers we talked to over the course of the last few months had a plan to scale up their e-commerce capability, in the next 3 years. And in fact, they had to reshape those business plan and to, get everything locked in within a couple of weeks. And they succeeded, right? So again, it's all a matter of priority, clearly. So from online to physical shopping, because this is what we're also trying to talk about here today, right? And hopefully we'll see more and more, people, whether domestic or now tourists coming back in the country, heading back into the retail space, especially in this country that, the retail space has so much to offer. The connection between online and physical is becoming more and more obvious in this growing omni-channel world, right? I think because I think I just wanted to pick up on one of the things that Lura was saying in her introduction, that BOPIS, buy online, pick up in store trend has grown significantly during the crisis. And apparently, as Nura was saying, over 55% of the shopper that was interviewed by McKinsey at the time do claim they will stick to this way of shopping for a longer period of time, right? So last February, and this was before COVID, right? But last February, we had deployed and developed an innovative solution with some selected startup at the Dubai Future Accelerator, which I believe, would address some of that BOPIS requirement. So could you share with us more about specifically our smart digital assistant?
Yeah, thanks, Julian. So one of the things when I mentioned that we're broadcasting from our design thinking studio, one of many here in Salat, is we look at the human-centered approach, how we help people do or facilitate their journeys from planning to during their visit and then afterwards. So we with the help of Future Now, we launched a challenge whereby 3 of our startups came with innovative ideas combining one, the search, but search and really on steroids. Second one is the wayfinding, but this is super hyper contextualized wayfinding, accuracy of 10 centimeters. It blew me off when I heard about that. And the third one is the contextualized information and promotion, how to communicate some kind of timely recommendations and promotion for customers while in the journey. So the hybrid of all three of them is what we call right now is a personal assistant. So it helps you search for the inventory of a mall or the store and choose some kind of a matching pair of pants for that shirt, and also curate your journey from A to B to C those stores in the mall and all the way to the shelf. So I find it very exciting and second to none of the personal assistant I've ever seen before.
Yeah. So I believe that, and I believe, no, I'm sure, in fact, but as we saw during the COVID, a lot more people watching TV and watching social media. The team of talent that we actually worked with at the DF at the time, even went beyond, and they're starting developing what we see on the screen here, whereby you can actually take a picture of your favorite star, movie star, and trying to find the same pair of pants or shirts in your retail area, correct?
Yeah, and what is different? So Google has done that for so many years, but imagine that we're offering you a localized Google. So somewhere showing you where's your nearest store that you can find that pair of pants or a shirt that you have seen online or taken a picture of. So that is very exciting for fashionista, because then it points out to where they can find this kind of shirt.
Interesting, and definitely one that we love to demonstrate here at our innovation center for those of our customers interested indeed. So I think the one next topic I wanted to touch on is, in fact, the whole question of, should I touch? Is it clean? Should I try it on? Is it safe? And I think we're all conscious of remaining hazard until the vaccine is being released. But physical interactions have clearly been affected, starting from the way we actually greet each other at work every day. We last year we demonstrated something at GITEX, which again could have been seen as a nice to have, which probably has become now very much more relevant after COVID-19. So can you present to us those two solutions?
Yeah, these are excellent examples where we thought that this is very futuristic and let's say gimmicky. But imagine this: how many times we went to a store and we couldn't find a shopping assistant and to give you some recommendation. So we combine two things here, Julian. One is an expert advice on the other side using augmented reality that can understand your needs. The second thing is the interaction in a much safer way than a real person. However, of course, there is a value of having a person, but we cannot ensure that they are there for every customer. So, for instance, this makeup screen, which is what we call magic mirror, it gives the different, according to your complexion, gives you a recommendation on what kind of makeup do you want to use. And also the other wearable that we're seeing from augmented reality and artificial intelligence, it look at your figure. It gives you the shirt and the skirt in a way that it fits your figure, and it also gives you a recommendation that this would look nicer with the other one. So this is again another expert way to show what you can buy, and you can do it in the store mostly, but you can also do it from your home. So it gives you a different touch point, whether before you go to make sure that you have it, and when you arrive, that these shopping assistants come handy.
So I think it's great which we're demonstrating here. I personally went into a shop soon after the whole lockdown was lifted, and in fact, going into a fitting room felt really awkward for some reason, right? But I think we're responding here as well to some of the big concern that we received from customers when we started those interview processes as early as March, whereby there was a sense that, post-COVID, there is also a need to operate in a more effective way, right? So what we saw earlier on as well could potentially help reduce footprint and store footprint, and potentially diversify the SKUs that you don't need to have available on the shelf anymore, because they are basically running behind in the CMS of both solutions. So very, very interested. And I believe we'll bring those back to GITEX this year as a matter of fact to further demonstrate them, correct?
You bet. And this time with the antibacterial antivirus film, just to demonstrate how effective it is.
Great.
Okay,
so
going back to you.
Of course, we can't end a shopping journey without mentioning about payment. And I think payment has been evolving, in the last few years, becoming very much frictionless payment. But most importantly, I think what we want to demonstrate here is it's not so much about payment itself, is the process of payment, right? And especially avoiding creating unnecessary crowd at the cashier counter, right? So I believe you wanted to share with us some new smart payment solutions available there.
Yeah, just like you, I went around during the early stages of opening. The hypermarkets were open, the stores were beginning to open, and I found it less comfortable to really use my credit card or cash handling with other people. So these things can make you really comfortable to interact with the self-service kiosk, to make the payment as a touch and go. Not only that, even we're all experienced when the delivery guys came in, it was really better to have a contactless way to interact and make the payment. So the end-to-end experience become contactless.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing that one as well, Mohamed. In fact, there's much more we could share. And I want to thank everybody that is attending this webinar. And I see a lot of questions popping up here. So, in fact, Noura, I suggest that I will give back the mic onto you, and please, I think we can open the Q&A session.
Thank you, Mohamed and Julian, for that insightful session. I really enjoyed the solutions, particularly the AR and VR solution, that enhance user shopping, allowing us to try things virtually. More, shoppers today are quite reluctant to try things physically. But I also like the smart virtual fitting room. I think a lot of girls would relate, when you're in the fitting room and you're not sure which shirt to get or which pants to get, and it's kind of like a shopping buddy that's, with you, saving time. Not that I'm complaining, I love shopping all day, but it's a really nice and cool innovation and technology that we can all use today. Now, moving on to the Q&A, a lot of questions that we received seem to come back on how does Etisalat Digital support their customers to digitally transform their business models to omnichannel without really disrupting it? And this question is to both of you.
So maybe, shall I take this one, Mohamed, and you
Go ahead.
want to add on top, right? But I think it's interesting that to have this question while I'm sitting here right now at our innovation center in our co-creation lab, because the journey starts at a different stage depending on different customers. But the way we proceed here is definitely by starting understanding what is our customer real challenge, because not everyone is at the same stage in their transformation journey, right? So as a starting point, we like to co-create and understand and put together with our customer, what is the challenge, what is the current state and the future vision, and then start lining up, what are the services and solutions that we should actually develop together to get there, right? And I think Mohamed, is enriching this journey with a lot of experience and a lot of past project that we are building upon, right, to serve our customer even better year after year. Correct, Mohanad?
Yes, absolutely, Julian. Right, spot on. So we're taking a benefit of the lessons learned and proven replicability of the architectures that were proven recipe for success. So to give you example, the mega projects like Expo 2020 and others, we're building, the most complex solution, but also the architecture was informed always from the customer experience lens. So integrating those solutions are important to make sure that it is really seamless journey.
Yeah, and I think it's fair to say as well that we don't have it all. We don't own it all. In fact, and when we don't have specific solutions available, our Future Now team is actually going out and scouting, for startups that can actually serve the purpose. And this is how we're actually launching a lot of different challenge over the course of 1 year, sorting for specific issues for our own customers, right? So I think, this is what we strive towards. Is also to go beyond the normal and trying to really sort for a long-lasting future.
Very true. And the most sought off question is, how does Salat Digital support customers when, really it's a time, it's challenging for everyone. Everyone's on budget costs and cost saving. So really, how can they invest in digital transformation when the situation is right now?
Mohanad, I'm going to leave that one to you. I think it's a fair question, right? Definitely, especially at the time where a lot of companies are potentially, looking very much closely to the budget. But I think this is where Etisalat probably becomes even more relevant. Correct, Mohanad?
True. With building, platform to go. This is what Etisalat has been doing at Salat Digital for the past few years. So that the economies of scale make it economic to reuse as one of the tenants on the cloud. And the benefit also of having this and hosted in the Etisalat cloud, I have to say, is because you're paying according to your use, and then you pay as you grow. You don't have to put capex up front. So we're turning capex to opex and to subscription model that makes it very convenient and economic to make payments over the years. And this is partly because Etisalat is positioning themselves as the digital partner, taking operational or sharing operational and financial risk with the customers to show that they have a skin in the game.
Yeah. True. And since we've got a question from YouTube from Karim Mu'min, and we're talking about cost, he's saying that, is the cost of mass deployment of these innovations at a price point that makes it feasible for retailers, or can only be done for flagship store level only?
Do you want to go?
Go ahead. I'll
Okay.
augment.
Thank you for augmenting. Yes, of course, mass deployment, would definitely help further decrease the unit cost of those solutions, right? But I think one of the key point we want to raise here is whatever I think we started this webinar saying, whatever we're going to show you today, we want to be pragmatic and realistic. And although some of the solutions may seem to be, from the get-go pricey, in fact, we selected them on purpose because we believe that they are relevant and affordable, only because don't look just only at the cost of it, but also at the efficiency you're going to be driving out of it, right? And then adding on top the OpEx model that Mohanad was sharing earlier on, makes it very, makes it approachable as well by, let's say, high street vendors as well. But Mohanad, if you want to add anything, I think it's a sense of reassuring, right? Our audience here.
I think you summed it pretty good, Julian. So this is a way where we're looking at how creating the platform economy and building that resilience on top of our cloud. So these innovations, we're taking them from the time when we're hosting them across nine weeks, giving them support from platforms, from cloud, from expertise, just to make it viable, commercially viable for them to succeed in the market, giving them access to our customers, but also embedding them one of our products. So that becomes also multi-tenancy as well. So it
Yeah.
gives connectivity across different scale.
We have Rashika from YouTube, and this question is to you, Mohanad. She's mentioning that she's actually really finding that smart digital shopping assistant quite interesting. Can you let us know more about that?
Yeah, absolutely, Rushika. Uh, so as I said before, we've taken different expert in their domain startups. So one of them were doing the search in a AI manner, so to improve and machine learn how you look at an inventory item and what are the areas that you can give as substitute or match to it. So if, for instance, you're looking at a pair of jeans and it is a certain color, what are other things you would like to buy with this pair of jeans? And it could be a bag, it could be a shirt, it could be sneakers. So it gives that kind of recommendation, but in a non-intrusive way. The second part is how do you economically build a mega wayfinding solution in a place like Dubai Mall of Emirates, Abu Dhabi Marina Mall, those a huge real estate, but amazing spaces as well. And we often get lost in them. How do you map them in an economic way without using any device? How do you accurately pinpoint to the location of the store? Because with the current solutions, you're gonna miss it between 10 to 50 meters. So this one is giving you very much up to the section within a store where are these items presented. So it's not only wayfinding, but also tracking, the
Yeah.
location and the movement. The third part, which is also truly innovative, is how do you contextualize what is a search and where you going in a location, and augment some kind of interesting promotions for the customer to seize this kind of a moment of truth where you can convert it to a true transaction. So these three areas of innovations were put into one mobile app, and we only believed it when we really tested it. And so we invite you, if you're interested, we can have a conversation on the side on how this work actually and how it can help your business.
In fact,
Definitely.
if I may, Mohanad, add on your second point, right? Because I think for the audience, it's probably important to mention that is the level of accuracy that we can achieve with our web finding solution doesn't require any extra hardware, which means that
Yes.
there's no extra investment requested, to get to that level of accuracy, which is what makes it so unique and different.
Exactly. So we're not using, in that case, the Wi-Fi and beacons and RFID, which are truly useful, and we've used them quite so many times. But with this unique solution, we found out that you can achieve much more accuracy down to 10 centimeters and not have a capex investment on hardware and maintaining it and operating it.
True. We
Okay.
have another question from Ali from YouTube, and he's mentioning that how can I make sure that the solutions I implement today are relevant post-COVID for the long term?
That's a very good question, and in fact, one needs to be to be asked. Want to reassure Ali here that when we lined up this webinar and looked at the portfolio of product available, I think the sense of being future-proof, as we call it, was very strong in our selection process. But we believe that future-proof is also a consequence of how we believe consumer behavior will change. So if you look at some of the key examples we shared with you, such as the AR VR fitting room, for example, right? Once again, I, we could all relate this to ourselves. Do you feel comfortable today, and how long will you feel, or will you not feel so comfortable to go and get, dressed or change into a fitting room given the situation, right? The same goes with some of the some of the sanitizing solutions like the handrail, for example, right? I think the consciousness around the disease and the viruses, has been so much impacted in our brain that this would last for a long time. So those solutions are here to stay. And I think they will prove your customers that you're caring for them, and it's not over basically, right? So um, for us, it's really much how are the consumer behavior going to change, and how will you sustain your experience to actually go along those change in behavior, and there will be many.
I
Definitely. I
think
think, yes, go on,
sorry,
Mohammed.
to build on what Julian, I'd like to also look at the operational lens when I look at the cameras that have been there for so long time. Now we are including the AI solution, right? To also look at the mask compliance, to look at the people counting, to look at how we can admit the employees and certain access control, in a very frictionless way. I mean, this is true innovation that has started way before COVID and will continue to be there. The other thing is digital signage. They were there and people were interacting with it. I think that we'll see more deployment of those because of the multiple use cases that has been built. So that is where you will future-proofing also your investment, not only the
But
technology.
it's a fair point you're making here, Mohanad. Is in most cases here, what we've been doing is repurposing existing, assets to serve more purposes as well, right? So it's also a mark that those are here for long.
Yeah, back to you, Nora. Sorry to cut you off.
Thank you. I think I just wanted to add, I think it'll become part of our lifestyle, and I think it will not be part of just a post-COVID thing. I have one more question, I think, from for the purpose of time, and it's from Jamil from YouTube, and he's talking about, what are the clients, or who are the clients that participated in this digitization, and in terms of their plan to fully shift to digitization as part of their shopping regime. Do you think it's part of only for COVID, or is something that's going to remain?
It's a good question, and this varies according to clients, right, and level of maturity. But for sure, and I think Mohanad was mentioning about one of the key distributor in the region here that had a plan to shift, towards more digital commerce over the next 5 years, and it did in 3 months what it was supposed to do in 5 years. So it's clear that I think what we went through has somehow changed a little bit the way we look at digitization. There's a lot of acceleration all over the place, but not just for a gadget purpose. It's because we've seen that those that were more digitally ready have had a better sustainment during this crisis time. And I think it is a matter of business recovery in nowadays, on top of servicing your customer with a better experience. So it will go in different pace still, depending on our customers, but we can see basically a lot of acceleration across the board to move on faster in a full digitization.
That's very true. Unfortunately, we've reached the end of this webinar. Thank you both, Mohanad and Julian, for joining us. I honestly had a really great time. Just to let our audience know that in case we didn't get back to them today, they can always email us at omnichannel@etisalat.ae. We have more webinars coming up next week, so stay tuned and follow us on our LinkedIn page at Etisalat Digital to get the notifications. Thank you for joining me again. If there's anything that you would like to say before we close this webinar.
I want to thank you, Noura, for hosting us, and thank everybody that has been on a chat with us today. And we look forward to reconnect with them.
Definitely. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone, and stay safe and God bless.
Thank you, Ma.
Okay.